Manchester United won, West Ham United won. So I actually want to actually analyze what happened in the West Ham United game, because Manchester United were once again struggling against the low block team. Because you guys are seeing that Manchester United are struggling, Manchester United are failing to create attacking sequences, attacking situations. But there is a reason why Manchester United are failing to create attacking sequences and attacking situations, dangerous situations, because of particularly the way Ruben Amorim is beginning to use Bryan, Mbeumo and Matheus. I think he's misprofiling a lot of the players, and you could see that Manchester United made 4 defensive subs on Thursday night against West Ham, and this is something that we are definitely going to go into very soon, because especially in crucial games, you're going to find out that Ruben Amorim likes making defensive substitutions even when he has attackers at the spell of his disposal, because you're going to find out that most of the times he's making those substitutions not because he wants to make the substitution, because majority of the time maybe one of our central backs might be on card. Majority of the time this season Maguire has been injured, Nusai Mazraoui has been injured, so of course Ruben Amorim is being forced to make these defensive substitutions. But I think in some cases he intentionally makes these defensive substitutions. You will see that in some cases in our last 5 games, you're going to find out that he was intentionally bringing in Harry Maguire when Manchester United needed a goal, instead of bringing an attacking player, or instead of trying to tweak his formation. And it felt like it was a normal thing for Manchester United. But actually, you're going to find out that Ruben Amorim actually needs to change a lot for Manchester United to be able to dominate low block teams. I'm going to definitely analyze that and actually talk about how he's beginning to use Bryan, Mbeumo and Matheus. And so first of all, let's actually talk about how he's utilizing this Matheus. You definitely know that Matheus was coming from a Wolverhampton Wanderers team that was used to play in a counter-attacking team, in a fast and strong team. Bryan Mbeumo, of course, was also coming in from the Brentford side that was used to playing a transitional style, a fast-playing style. And then Ruben Amorim, of course, in his 3-4-3 system, you're going to find out that he likes his attackers to actually occupy those half spaces, instead of trying to hug the wing or trying to run in behind the defenders, just like Matheus and Bryan Mbeumo likes to do. Instead, he likes his attackers to run immediately into those half spaces and try to manipulate tight spaces and break low block teams. And for me, that's not really a bad thing, because of course I think in every team we should have specific profile of players that can be able to break down low block teams and play in a certain way. But in this Manchester United side, Ruben Amorim doesn't have that profile of players that can effectively break down low block teams, and not especially Matheus and Bryan Mbeumo, because you're going to see in various sequences in that game, when Ajanalysis is in the ball, you're going to find out that instead of Bryan Mbeumo to make that runs in behind defenders or try to hug the touchline and try to move with the ball, he's going to run immediately to occupy those half spaces, to try to receive that ball in those half spaces and manipulate the ball. And you're going to find out that Bryan Mbeumo is not actually good in playing in tight spaces. He's not good with manipulating that ball. Matheus is a player that is good in manipulating tight spaces, but Bryan Mbeumo is not that kind of player. And because of Manchester United have all the threats coming on from the right hand side, you're going to find out that majority of the ball goes to Bryan Mbeumo rather than Matheus, and Manchester United failed to create anything out of it. And I think if Ruben Amorim wants to succeed, especially when we are playing against low block teams, he needs to stop the way he utilizes our attacking player, because it makes us to be very non-functional in games. And I think the solution to this issue is that instead of trying to use players that are not good in playing in between the lines and in half spaces, I think instead of using both Matheus and Bryan Mbeumo to play in those half spaces, he should use Bryan Mbeumo to run in behind defenders or to hug the touchline and try to play with Amad Diallo, while Cunha becomes the one that plays in the half spaces. Because, of course, in a normal scenario in a 3-4-3 system, when these players occupy those half spaces, like the 2-10s like Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, the wing backs are going to be very effective. You're going to find out that in the case of Manchester United, Amad Diallo is the only wing back that is effective. Patrick Dogu and Diego Dalot on the other hand, on the left-hand side of the pitch, they are not effective. So it makes the Manchester United system to be null and void. So for Manchester United to be able to move forward, for Ruben Amorim to be able to change the whole situation of Manchester United in terms of his attack, he needs to actually change these characteristics of the Manchester United team. So guys, another thing we are going to be talking about in today's video is actually the in-game management of Ruben Amorim. Let's not forget that Manchester United don't have a lot of players at our disposal. So of course, whenever we make substitutions, like whenever we remove Casemiro from games, we tend to slip off. Whenever we bring in some certain kind of players, Manchester United loses the grip of game. You could see when Joshua Zexi went off, when Diego Dalot went off, Manchester United actually fell very flat and then we conceded the late goals. But I feel that Ruben Amorim needs to do better when it comes to making substitutions. Especially yesterday, he brought in 4 defensive players. I know his hands were tied in the case of Eden Heaven had to go off because he was carded and he was having a lot of issues with Alon Wilson. Luke Shaw, of course, had to go off and all that. But most of the times, it feels like Ruben Amorim becomes clueless in games and he tends to, make these defensive substitutions. And this is something that he really needs to change very fast because Manchester United is going to be losing Ahmad Diallo, Bryan, Mbeumo, and Osai Maduabi after the Bournemouth game on the 15th of December, where they are going to move to the AFCON. So then what then happens to Manchester United? Who are going to be occupying this position and how do Manchester United intend to play? Because I actually feel that the next 2 Manchester United games should be one of the most crucial games of this football club because you have missed a lot of chances, to go into the top 4. I think if we had won Everton and West Ham, realistically, I think Manchester United would have seated comfortably in the 2nd position or the 3rd position, but we have fumbled our chance of being in this Champions League position by December, and this is something that Manchester United needs to work on because if you look at the fact that yes, Ruben Amorim has his own issues, Ruben Amorim has his flaws with his system which he has to change, with the way he utilizes the attackers. I think the players of Manchester United also have their issues. If you look at Patrick Vieira, there are some things as a football player that you are not supposed to be coached. If you look at Patrick Vieira, there were sequences where he didn't know whether to cross, he didn't know when to penetrate the box, when to move the ball effectively, when to run towards defenders, when to cross the ball. I don't think that this is something that a coach is supposed to be coaching a player for. I think this is something that as a player that specializes in a position, you're supposed to have this at the tip of your hand. This is something that you're supposed to know as a player. And so you don't need the coach to actually tell you everything. So in as much as the players of Manchester United are very bad, and in as much as Ruben Amorim is also not trying, I think that there is a lot going on around the club that needs to change as soon as possible. So guys, you're also going to find out that Kobbie Mainoo is not playing for Manchester United, and it seems like he has fallen out of favour with Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim is refusing to play him because you could see in the game yesterday, Manchester United was screaming for a controller. At that point of the game, Manchester United we didn't need any defensive sub. We needed a player like Kobbie Mainoo who could be able to control the tempo of the game, have a lot of touches on the ball and try to control the game as much as possible. But you could see that Ruben Amorim made one of the worst substitutions in the history of Manchester United when he brought on Ugarte. You're going to find out that Ugarte didn't do anything substantial in the game. Even Lisandro Martinez did more than Ugarte in the game because he played line-breaking passes. He did, played a lot of long passes. But you could see in the case of Ugarte, he couldn't effectively change the game. There was nothing Ugarte did when he came on for Manchester United Thursday night. So you're going to find out that in as much as you have a lot to say about the players of Manchester United and Ruben Amorim, I feel that a lot needs to change for Manchester United in the sense of that the players actually needs to step up. I think some players notably have to step up, and in as much as yes, we want Kobbie Mainoo to play, majority of the times that Kobbie Mainoo has played, his body language has not really been good. This is primarily because the coach doesn't like him, so of course his body language is not really the way that we have seen Kobbie Mainoo for Manchester United. So guys, I want you guys to give me your thoughts on the comment section on what you feel about Manchester United. I want you guys to like, to share, to subscribe to Tactical Trafford. See you guys in my next video.